It's been a bit of a heartbreaking run for the 49ers. It really has been. Because if you told a fan of just about any team that said, hey, in a 4-year stretch, your team's going to make the conference championship round 3 times, and one of those will result in a Super Bowl trip, would you take that? Most fans, understandably so, would say, yes, I would. And that's what the 49ers have done. 3 conference championship game appearances, a Super Bowl appearance in the last 4 seasons, and they have exactly 0 rings to show for it. You know, it can sound really cliche, and sometimes maybe it feels like it's an overemphasis and over-exaggeration, but you have to have high-level quarterback play to win a Super Bowl, period. It doesn't mean you have to have an elite guy. It means you have to have a quarterback that can play big in big spots in big games. And the 49ers sit there as a perfect example of, if you don't get the quarterback position right, you could be really good across the board everywhere else on the roster. You can have a really good coaching staff, quality head coach, and all that shit doesn't matter at the end of the day because it's not going to matter. The 49ers have just wasted their time and wasting their fans' times. And that's going to be harsh, and 49ers fans, I'm sure, are going to the comments right now to vent at me, but that's the reality, right? If they had a real quarterback that could play big in big spots, they've probably won 2 or 3 out of the last 4 Super Bowls. Really. I'm just saying. It's another year, another close but no cigar finish for the 49ers. And now the 49ers organization is trying to convince themselves apparently that Brock Purdy is the man. Good luck with that. And as you go into this year's draft, you're saying, hey, you know, what are the 49ers going to do here? Well, you don't have a first-round pick due to the Trey Lance deal, and that's worked out so swimmingly. Like, of course, you were going to go with him last year, and then he gets hurt, and, you know, it's like, is he ever even really going to get a chance to show what he can do? Admittedly, the 49ers better really hope that he wins that quarterback job in 2023. Because if it's Brock Purdy, they are just going to end up in another position where they get disappointed. You really think you're going to win a Super Bowl this year with Brock Purdy as your starting quarterback? I'm not saying you're going to win one with Trey Lance, but it's got to be so goddamn obvious how much higher the upside is with Trey Lance, even if the floor is lower. So, no first-round pick for the 49ers this year, and still all types of questions at the quarterback position, the ultimate damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario. And then, as well, they don't have the second-round pick in this year's draft due to the Christian McCaffrey deal, which, you know, if you had Trey Lance or a young quarterback on a rookie-scale contract that was playing at a decent level, it makes way more sense to trade for Christian McCaffrey than what it ended up doing. But he came in, he played well for him, but again, he's not the quarterback. He couldn't play quarterback, and it didn't matter. So the draft for the 49ers this year didn't start until day 3. Or not day 3, excuse me, round 3. Sorry, it's late, folks. First round pick invested in Trey Lance. That doesn't look good so far. The second round pick invested in Christian McCaffrey. That's certainly not bad. But then you question, like, how much does it make sense to invest that much in the running back position? It's a non-premium position. Like, was it really worth it for him? It's a fair question. So their first pick in this draft was at pick 87, and they took Ji'Ayir Brown, the safety from Penn State. And I thought he was a decent value play at this point, right? Like, he was a guy maybe more like middle to late second round type of talent for me in this draft. Like, kind of similar to how I would have thought of Jaquan Brisker last year in terms of, like, draft value. Felt like a decent spot for Brown. My only question for them is, was Ji'Ayir Brown so great that you were willing to give up 102, 164, and 222 to take him? I don't know about that. That's quite a bit to give up to move up 15 slots in the middle of round 3 or late round 3 for a safety. Maybe they felt it was important. They probably had a much higher grade on him. I would certainly think you did if you gave up that much in a trade up to go get him. So we'll see. I felt like taking a kicker, especially Jake Moody, was like a 2 to 3 round reach here. And I know after the draft, I think John Lynch said they were getting calls about somebody trying to trade to that spot, or they were hearing that they were going to get a kick. Somebody was going to take a kicker soon. He wasn't going to be there next time they came around. I understand that Jake Moody hit a 59-yarder against TCU, but generally he was not great from 40 yards and out. That's not what you want to see when you're drafting a frickin' kicker this high. He's less than 70% from 40 yards and out over the past 2 seasons. That's not a great connect rate. Certainly not what I would be investing a late round 3 pick on. I'm just saying. I also thought Cameron Latu was a reach. This is also a great tight end class. So by the time he got to the end of round 3, the number of tight ends have been drafted, right? So if you want one, you probably have to reach a little bit. And I think in general, like reaches late day 2 to day 3 aren't quite so bad, but you don't want to do them too often. In terms of their day 2 grade, like I have to factor in the second round pick being invested for Christian McCaffrey. And I thought Brown was solid value, but I thought Jake Moody was a pretty big reach there. I thought Latu was a pretty big reach there. They still ultimately invested a second round pick in a running back, that also carries a really big contract with them. So I thought this was a C- day 2 for them. They had 6 picks in day 3, and it was a solid effort, but not spectacular. I think Luter has length and speed that the 49ers can use in their secondary. Robert Beal Jr., he's long, athletic. I think he has a real chance to kind of outplay his draft slot. Dee Winters, he's a guy athletic with speed. At worst, he's a guy that could do some things as a special teamer, and with improved tackling, he could be a sub-package linebacker. I just don't think any of their second round or seventh rounders are of note. Probably more like practice squad guys at best. So I gave him a C for day 3. Now, and transparently with the 49ers is like, I haven't always been impressed with John Lynch's drafts, and some of them look really good, and some of them maybe not so much, right? But this is not a draft you'd expect a lot of immediate help from. They better hope Jake Moody is the guy at kicker, because you're going to let Gold walk and you're going to invest a late third rounder on Jake Moody. He better be that dude. I think Brown could start in 2023 or at least see significant action, but that's about it. You got a couple of day 3 picks here that are pretty intriguing, but this was not going to be a draft, I don't think, that you could look at and say that the 49ers are going to get a ton of help. What would make this a successful draft for the 49ers is, I would say, Brown is a starter in a good one, Moody is a kicker in a good one, and one of these day 3 picks contributes something. Then you say, okay, this draft is good. If Trey Lance can come out, win the starting quarterback job in 2023, has a good season, then this doesn't start to look so bad. The trajectory of the 49ers looks a little different. But for the time being, it was kind of a meh draft, and they didn't have a lot of ammo here. So I gave them a C- grade. Like, they certainly weren't one of the big winners this year, that's for sure.